According to a U.S. congressional investigation, U.S. and European banks launder between $500 billion and $1 trillion in international criminal proceeds. Half of that money comes into the U.S. The U.S. has a trade deficit of about $900 billion, and the approximately $500 billion a year in illegal money makes up for it. Without this illegal money, the U.S. economy would collapse. According to one professor, Washington and the mass media have portrayed the U.S. as being in the forefront of the struggle against narco-trafficking, drug laundering, and political corruption. The truth is exactly the opposite. This illegal money also provides liquidity for U.S. banks and corporations. Wall Street can't afford to let the drug barons fail. International drug trafficking routes are protected, and in some cases are one of the primary reasons for military intervention, as was the case with the Kosovo conflict, where the Kosovo Liberation Army were funded by heroin traffickers. The route went from Turkey to Europe via the Balkans. Albania is the hub. The CIA is well known to have dealt with drugs. Government involvement in the illegal drug trade is far-reaching. For example, the Iran-Contra drugs for guns affair, or the British Oriental Opium Wars in the Victorian Age. Drug running also means money laundering, and according to the British Foreign Office, that accounted for 2 to 5% of the world's GDP. Aside from hooking people on drugs, the activity is also responsible for funding terrorists and civil wars across the globe. The vast majority of opium poppies are grown in a narrow strip extending from Turkey through Pakistan and to Laos. The plant prefers a dry climate, about 4,000 feet elevation. After the flower petals drop, the gum is collected and sent to processing plants, often in Corsica or Monaco. The main chemical used to make heroin is acetic anhydride. If the governments want to stop the drugs, they would only have to tightly regulate the sale of the chemical. Opium was the first addictive drug to be forced on a population by the British and Dutch East India Companies. In fact, the drug was the largest single export item for the first 70 years of the 19th century. Profits from the drug trade enabled the rise of wealthy families, large corporations, and industry, and helped create the British Empire. When the drug trade finally ended, the empire began to erode. The ruling and extremely wealthy families around the world have a vested interest in keeping the drug trade going. This economic system based on drugs has 3 components: governments, transnational corporations, and mafias. Turkey is at the crossroads of 3 different drug routes, and their share of the proceeds amounted to $37 billion a year, or 1/4 of the country's GNP. And they are supposedly our ally.